In a seemingly ordinary moment, young Tracy Whitney found herself at a Burger King, surrounded by friends and an ex-boyfriend. Following a heated dispute, she chose to leave, unaware that this decision would tragically alter the course of her life. Her brutal murder in northwestern Washington left investigators grappling with unanswered questions for decades. The case, shrouded in mystery and devoid of leads, eventually grew cold until the advent of DNA evidence breathed new life into the investigation. On that fateful day, August 27, 1988, 18-year-old Tracy was at a Burger King in Federal Way when an argument prompted her to walk away. 13 hours later, her lifeless body was discovered by fishermen on a sandbar at the confluence of the Stuck River and the Puyallup River near Sumner. The scene was described as nothing short of horrific. She was found without clothing, and the autopsy revealed that asphyxia from strangulation and probable smothering were the causes of her death. Evidence suggested she had endured a brutal beating and assault, corroborated by further findings from the autopsy. During the investigation, Pierce County detectives tirelessly pursued leads, interviewing acquaintances and romantic partners, and even administering polygraph tests. Despite collecting DNA samples from her remains, which were believed to belong to the assailant, the identity of the perpetrator remained elusive. The case languished in obscurity for years. In 2005, a renewed effort to identify the suspect through the combined DNA index system yielded no results. It was not until 2022, aided by a grant from the Washington State Attorney General's office, that a detective from the Pierce County Sheriff's Cold Case Unit submitted the DNA for genetic genealogy testing. This innovative approach ultimately led law enforcement to a familial match, revealing the biological son of the suspect, identified as John Guillot Jr. of Puyallup. In December 2024, it was confirmed that Guillot matched the DNA evidence found on Tracy's body. Guillot passed away from cancer in January 2022, and his background was noted to be quite unusual. His wife had tragically taken her own life with a firearm, a situation that was investigated without any suspicion of foul play. In 2021, another death occurred within his family. His girlfriend, who lived with him and required care, was under his supervision. It was determined that he and his son had been negligent in providing her with adequate care. The Pierce County Sheriff's Office clarified that there were no links between Tracy and Guillot, and detectives believe that Tracy's case involved a stranger's abduction, assault, and murder. The resolution of Tracy's case was a significant development. The Sheriff's Office remarked, "Our cold case unit is always looking into the past, trying to find answers for families just like Tracy's. We are glad they can finally have an answer and some closure with the solving of this case." While Tracy's assailant could not be prosecuted, her family expressed relief at his identification, stating that knowing the truth offers them a measure of peace. Her sister, Robin Whitney, who was just 11 years old at the time of Tracy's death, expressed hope that publicly identifying Guillot might aid in solving other cold cases, as she suspects he may have been involved in multiple crimes throughout his life. In a tragic incident that unfolded between the evening of January 2nd and the morning of January 3rd, 2009, 22-year-old Christine McWhorter and her 31-year-old aunt, Beatrice Daniels, were fatally shot in their residence at the Chestnut Terrace housing complex in Huntington County, Pennsylvania. Both women suffered gunshot wounds to the head. Left in the apartment were Christine's 4-month-old daughter and her 4-year-old son, who sought assistance from neighbors, leading to the discovery of the women's bodies. Investigators collected droplets of blood from the crime scene as evidence. The preliminary DNA analysis indicated that the blood found on the stairs and interior doors belonged to an unidentified male. As advancements in DNA technology progressed, a profile of the suspect was developed from these droplets. On March 14, 2016, Trooper David Clements submitted this DNA profile to DNA Solutions, which subsequently forwarded it to Parabon Nanolabs in Reston, Virginia. Utilizing the DNA, Parabon Nanolabs generated an image of the potential suspect, portraying a black male with brown to black hair, a medium to light complexion, and green or hazel eyes. On July 12, 2018, Trooper Dana reached out to Tom Shaw, a certified forensic artist at Parabon Nanolabs, requesting a genetic genealogy analysis of the DNA collected at the scene. By October 9, 2018, Parabon provided a report identifying Morrico Johnson as a possible match. Notably, Johnson's appearance aligned with the previously created suspect image. Investigators discovered that Christine had a connection with Johnson's then-girlfriend, Cynthia Swan. On December 12, 2019, they interviewed Johnson at his residence, where he acknowledged knowing Christine and Beatrice through Cynthia, but denied ever visiting Christine's home. He willingly provided a DNA sample via a mouth swab for further investigation. The specimen was dispatched for examination to the State Police Laboratory in Harrisburg on December 19, 2019. By January 3, 2020, the laboratory confirmed that Johnson's DNA corresponded with blood evidence discovered on the staircase and the interior doors at the crime scene. Investigators proceeded to align Johnson's time card with the estimated timeline of the murders. On January 22, 2020, the state police obtained time cards from Johnson's then-employer, the New York Department of Corrections, which verified that Johnson was not scheduled to work on January 2, 2009, and commenced his shift on January 3 at 7 a.m. The authorities estimated that the journey covering the 294 miles between Christine and Beatrice's residence and Johnson's workplace would require approximately 4 hours and 43 minutes. The police sought to ascertain whether Johnson had access to a .25 caliber firearm, the weapon implicated in the shootings. On January 23, 2020, Troopers Thomas and Martini interviewed Johnson's half-brother residing in Connecticut. He expressed his belief that their deceased father possessed a .25 caliber firearm, which Morrico Johnson inherited following their father's passing in 1998. Additionally, troopers interviewed Cynthia Swan, Johnson's former girlfriend, on February 21, 2020. Swan revealed that she was initially scheduled to accompany Christine from Philadelphia to Mount Union on January 1, 2009, for a weekend visit, but ultimately opted to stay in Philadelphia with a man named Benjamin June. She also noted that it was around this period that Johnson became aware of her affair with June. The police observed that the last incoming text on Christine's cell phone was from Swan, requesting Christine to return her call, to which Christine did not reply. On July 28, 2020, Troopers Thomas and Dana engaged in a conversation with Robert Sean Spade, the father of Christine's eldest child. Spade recounted visiting Christine, Beatrice and the children on the evening of January 2, 2009. He remarked that the women maintained their apartment in an exceptionally tidy condition and that he did not notice any blood-like stains during his visit. He further highlighted that it was out of character for them to leave any spills or disarray. In May 2022, 47-year-old Morrico Johnson was taken into custody in Newport News, Virginia, and is facing charges for the murders of Christine and Beatrice. He is expected to be transferred to Pennsylvania by state police to address the allegations against him. Catherine Romer was the embodiment of vivacity, effortlessly drawing people into her orbit with her magnetic charm and zest for life. A devoted mother to one son and a cherished grandmother to 9 granddaughters, she possessed an extraordinary talent for making each granddaughter feel uniquely adored. Her frequent visits to her son's home transformed ordinary days into extraordinary celebrations, as her presence was akin to that of a beloved celebrity gracing their lives. Catherine relished the joy of traveling with her granddaughters, introducing them to a world of culinary delights at various restaurants where new flavors awaited their eager palates. As a widow, Catherine found solace in her enduring friendship with Charles Romer, a longtime companion of her late husband. Charles, a retired executive from Sinclair Oil and father to 2 sons, was known for his kindness and generosity, qualities that endeared him to Catherine's family. After years of camaraderie, their bond blossomed into love, culminating in marriage. At 76, Catherine and 74-year-old Charles resided in Scarsdale, New York, yet embraced the winter sun as snowbirds, retreating to a charming apartment in a motel owned by Charles in Miami, Florida. Their travel routine was meticulously crafted. Each year, they would stop at a Holiday Inn in Brunswick, Georgia, after the first leg of their journey back to New York. In 1980, their well-established routine unfolded as usual. They checked into the Holiday Inn just before 4 p.m. on April 8th, but the following day, they vanished without a trace. 2 days later, a hotel maid discovered their belongings untouched in their room, yet it appeared as though no one had slept there. Despite a Georgia Highway Patrol officer reporting a sighting of their car near local restaurants shortly after their check-in, no further evidence of the couple was ever uncovered, leaving their mysterious disappearance shrouded in intrigue. Frank Heller, the son of Catherine, expressed his deep concerns during a press interview regarding the possible abduction of his mother and her husband. The affluent couple was well known in their community, particularly for their predictable springtime travels to New York. At the time of her mysterious disappearance, Catherine was adorned with approximately $81,000 worth of exquisite jewelry. The search operation for the Romers became one of the most extensive in Georgia's history, enlisting the efforts of local law enforcement, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Despite thorough searches of coastal regions in both Georgia and Florida, no trace of the couple was uncovered. As the years passed without resolution, Charles's son, Charles Jr., maintained communication with authorities, while Frank made numerous journeys to Georgia in pursuit of answers. In 1985, 5 years after their vanishing, Charles and Catherine were legally declared deceased, and their substantial estate, valued at $1 million, was settled. On November 22, 2024, the non-profit organization Sunshine State Sonar was conducting an underwater search at a pond in Brunswick, following a lead suggesting a submerged vehicle. Their efforts led to the discovery of a 1970s Ford sedan, prompting further investigation of the pond. In the murky depths, divers, relying solely on touch, uncovered a second vehicle. During one dive, a diver reached through an open window and retrieved a hard object, surfacing with a human femur. The vehicle was identified as the Romer's 1979 Lincoln Continental, distinguished by its custom license plate and monogrammed headrests bearing the couple's initials, alongside several personal belongings found within. The DNA analysis of the bone discovered within the vehicle is expected to take several months, yet the families of the couple have come to terms with the tragic reality that Catherine and Charles perished in the car. Efforts are underway to drain the pond in hopes of uncovering additional evidence, or remains. This pond, where the vehicle was located, is situated between the Royal Inn Hotel, where Charles and Catherine were guests, and Interstate 95. Although the pond was examined during the initial investigation, the thoroughness of that search remains uncertain. Given the car's proximity to the parking lot, it is conceivable that it was inadvertently shifted into reverse, leading to its descent into the water. Tragically, none of Catherine and Charles's sons lived to uncover the truth about their parents' fate. Nevertheless, Catherine's granddaughters expressed their gratitude towards the dedicated group of strangers who tirelessly sought answers. While it seems that Charles and Catherine met their end in April of 1980, All evidence suggests that their demise was accidental, a comforting thought for their families who have long endured the anguish of contemplating far darker possibilities, including the horrors of torture and murder. Shortly after the car's discovery, Catherine's granddaughters gathered for Thanksgiving. Christine, one of the granddaughters, reflected, "The entire family shared cherished stories about them. It was a joyous occasion, filled with a sense of resolution. We felt liberated to celebrate their lives and reminisce about the joyful moments without the weight of dread, sorrow, and sadness." John Blaylock, a diligent steelworker and devoted father, had his life tragically extinguished within the confines of his Griffith, Indiana apartment. For over 4 decades, his case languished in obscurity until a revolutionary leap in DNA technology rekindled the quest for justice. This harrowing crime perplexed investigators for years, yet an unwavering determination ultimately unveiled the truth behind this long-standing enigma. Born in 1930, John was deeply cherished by his parents, growing up to embody the principles of hard work and commitment. By 1981, at the age of 51, he had established himself as a devoted father and a respected figure in the steel, manufacturing and construction sectors. On the fateful morning of November 3, 1981, concern arose among his co-workers when he failed to appear for work, an occurrence most uncharacteristic of the reliable steelworker. In response to their unease, 2 colleagues ventured to his apartment to check on him. What they discovered was a scene of horror. John Blaylock's lifeless body was found in his bedroom, exposed from the waist down, and it was immediately evident that he had met a violent demise. He had been struck in the back of the head, with investigators later identifying a piece of pottery and possibly an alarm clock as the instruments of his fatal injuries. Both items lay shattered near his body, underscoring the brutality of the assault. The crime scene narrated a tale of chaos and savagery. Blood was splattered across various areas of the apartment, indicating a fierce struggle had ensued. Investigators noted stains on a cabinet in the living room, a jacket draped over the couch, the bathroom sink, a green towel, and a china cabinet in the hallway. However, the most significant concentration of blood was found in John's bedroom, where his body was ultimately discovered. Each detail pointed to a violent confrontation, yet the motives behind the attack remained elusive. Among the debris, one peculiar clue emerged, a broken watch adorning John Blaylock's wrist. The watch had ceased functioning around 2:15 a.m. on November 1, 1981, providing a potential timestamp for the moment of the tragic assault. This detail became a central point of interest for investigators, establishing a timeline for the incident and raising inquiries about the events that unfolded in the early hours of that Sunday. This seemingly minor yet crucial element contributed to the unsettling nature of the case, suggesting a premeditated and brutal act. As the inquiry into John Blaylock's death progressed, his sons supplied law enforcement with vital information. They disclosed that their father frequently visited a local bar known as John's Place. A bartender from the venue informed investigators that she had seen John there on the night in question, noting that he was in the company of a younger man whom she did not recognize. The individual was described as a white male, approximately 5 feet 8 inches tall, with a medium build, unkempt, dirty blonde hair, and dark eyes. Despite this lead, the absence of solid evidence impeded the advancement of the case. With no suspect identified, John Blaylock's case remained unresolved, ultimately becoming a cold case. The investigation lay dormant for many years until 2018, when Griffith Police Detective John Mowry Jr. chose to revisit it. This choice was particularly meaningful, as Detective Mowry's father had been involved in the original investigation. While examining the crime scene photographs, Detective Mowry observed inconsistencies that indicated John's movements after receiving the fatal head injury were improbable. This insight led him to re-evaluate the forensic evidence, concentrating on the blood swabs taken from the bathroom sink and other locations within the apartment. The blood samples were forwarded to the Indiana State Police lab for DNA analysis, but no matches were found in the National Criminal Database. Lacking a suspect already in the system, the investigation appeared to reach another impasse. Undeterred, Mowry sent the DNA samples to Parabon Nanolabs for further analysis. In a remarkable endeavor, Parabon utilized databases from renowned companies such as 23andMe and Ancestry to uncover familial DNA connections that could unveil the perpetrator. A significant breakthrough occurred in October 2022 when Parabon identified matches to 3 individuals from the same family. This pivotal discovery enabled investigators to systematically eliminate potential suspects through the analysis of supplementary evidence. A hair sample effectively excluded one family member, while a cigarette butt retrieved during a traffic stop ruled out another. This meticulous process ultimately narrowed the focus to a single individual, Gregory Thurston, who had resided in Eugene, Oregon, since at least 2000. Thurston had previous encounters with law enforcement in 2001 and 2013 concerning a 1994 battery warrant from Indiana. However, on both occasions, Indiana authorities opted against extradition due to the considerable distance. On October 24, 2024, Eugene police, acting on behalf of Indiana detectives, approached Thurston. Under the impression that the inquiry pertained to his old warrant, Thurston willingly cooperated. He was swiftly arrested and charged with the murder of John Blaylock. Investigators confirmed that Thurston's description aligned with witness accounts from John's place in 1981. At the time of the tragic incident, Thurston was between 20 and 23 years old, consistent with the bartender's recollection of the individuals seen with John on the fateful night of November 1st. After 43 long years, the case of John Blaylock was finally resolved, providing much-needed closure to his family and the community. The unwavering commitment of Detective Mowry Jr., coupled with advancements in DNA technology, played a crucial role in identifying the suspect. Gregory Thurston now awaits trial at the Lake County Jail for a crime that has cast a shadow over Griffith, Indiana, for more than 4 decades.